And welcome to the latest edition of the 941 Sports Zone. I'm Spitz. He's John Media Days. Love the spelling. Masoni. Uh, what a day we did have. We were there for, well, it seemed like 8-9 hours. I think we were on the air,
We were
John.
there for 9. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
9.
Well, we were on the air for over 7. That's for sure. And we have a very special guest as we start getting into the high school football season. It's Andy Villamarzo from On3 and Rivals, on3rivals.com. Andy, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Hey, the pleasure is all mine, and love talking high school football, so I know we're going to get into that.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in great detail. We had some breaking news this week, just as we were getting ready to do our high school football preview over at Carroll GMC. By the way, new sponsor for the 941 Sports Zone is Carroll GMC. Sales, selection, experience what car buying should be. Who can make you drive with a smile? Carroll can on the beautiful island of Venice. Go see Monty Jacobs and the gang there. They will take care of you. And I certainly do appreciate them taking care of me while I was here in Florida. We are doing this on Sunday night. We normally do it on Monday, but since I'm still in Florida and I'll be traveling tomorrow, we decided to do it a day early. Andy, tell everybody the story that you broke late last week that has really certainly turned the 941 into quite a bit of a tizzy, if you will.
Well, Carlos Woods getting dismissed not only as head football coach at Sarasota Booker, but as the athletic director. That was something that I think had kind of circulated around the 941 for a little bit. It was something I had heard probably at least a month ago and tried to confirm actually with Coach Woods early on, tried to see what his status was. One thing I noticed is when somebody doesn't get back to you on something, it means kind of that's up in the air.
You're on it.
Yeah.
You're on it. Mm-hmm.
So when there's smoke, there's usually fire. And eventually I ended up hearing from a couple of sources that he had in fact been dismissed and got the story out there, kind of was prepared for it because I had heard that this was going to happen. And ends a 1-year tenure that saw them get to the Class 3A state semifinals. And you got to look at Sarasota Booker. This is the second coaching change they've had in the last 3 years. They had Scotty Littles before him, and that kind of ended. And I guess depending how you're looking at it, controversial. Scotty Littles gotten into a little bit of trouble with recruiting violations with the Tornadoes. So I don't think that kind of helped his, head coaching tenure there. So, I mean, Woods becomes the latest, and it comes at the most, let's just say it's the worst timing for the school to kind of be dismissing a head coach, because you're talking about less than a week before practices start on the 27th. And you have a bunch of kids and families that were sitting there wondering in a holding pattern, like, what is going on? Are we going to have a head coach? Are we going to have a team? Like, what, and you guys, like I have, you probably have seen and heard about all these kids going to every team under the sun between Sarasota and Manatee County. So right now I don't know what's going to be, what to make of Booker. This is a very interesting situation, and just kind of seeing what kind of team do they have when they meet Venice on the 21st at Tornado Alley. Are they going to have the equivalent of a junior varsity team? I mean, very interesting developments over there.
And Andy, I would say to you, Sarasota Booker being a state semifinalist 2 years in a row, this is a big deal because of the talent, obviously, that's going to be dispersed now throughout the 941 area code. But also, this statewide, this is a big deal, because this is now a situation where that Class 3A district that has Booker, Cardinal Mooney, Southeast, Bayshore. There's a bunch of teams in there that are all either on the rise or have been to a state championship or been to a semifinals at least. And all of a sudden you pluck one out and say, there, you're right. What is going to be left? It's tatters at this point. You can go online. You can see the laundry list of on my way to Palmetto, on my way to Southeast, on my way to Venice, on my way wherever it may be. And quite honestly, you can't blame kids that have scholarships on the line or kids that are in their senior class that don't know what's going on. It's unfortunate, but the timing is, and I don't want you to speculate anything, but I'll ask you this, Andy. I mean, I know that we keep saying the timing is really bad. The time is not just bad. It makes no sense. If this was something that was on there, you would think that you would have avoided all of this and potentially could have kept your players, or at least given them an opportunity to be at least forewarned in this situation. What do you say?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you look at just kind of if you're somebody that was on an administrative level, or even with the Sarasota School Board, if you knew like that this was forthcoming, that you're going to have a coach that's probably going to be dismissed for whatever the reasons may be, you would like to think that you have some kind of contingency plan in place. I mean, I'll just bring up the northern neighbors of Georgia. I mean, when a coach gets dismissed, I mean, a lot of these situations, they have almost like a little Christmas list of coaches that they wish they could have. And they reach out immediately behind the scenes. They'll start having conversations. And as one is ousted, almost another one is initiated and they're brought in. So to me, like, why that can't work in Florida, why it's almost like we got to go through the process of essentially like, oh, we got to go through HR and do all that. Well, you got to find a way to expedite it if you want to have any kind of football season. And if you know anything about athletics, you have to know your football team is probably your driver when it comes to revenue for your athletic season. I mean, you can't underscore how much that hurts the school and the district when it comes to, I mean, think about Booker and Venice playing to start your season. You got two teams coming off of state semifinal appearances. They meet. I mean, you're attracting hundreds or thousands of people to one place. But now, since they're all informed via folks like us, that this probably isn't going to be as good of a game as it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Well, now that revenue is dwindling, or it could be gone, just because now you don't have that team that should have hit the field and been able to play a team like Venice and having that marquee matchup to start the season. So yeah, I would just, to me, it's a bit mind-boggling because there's so many states around the country that could align with where Florida views its high school football, but have it handled in so much of a different way to where a new head coach is prepared to take the helm, or at least have some kind of backup plan. But in this case, it doesn't sound like there was one at all.
Well, go a little further, Andy. We've heard some rumors, and then there was a school board meeting not too long ago, and there was somebody who approached the dais and basically said that this has been in the works since spring. That, in other words, the school board knew that Carlos Woods would be out in the spring. And here we are on July 26th. He's been out now for 48 hours officially, I guess. He did his little press release to the media yesterday. Friday, the news came out. They still don't have a head coach. They're supposed to practice tomorrow. And according to what I knew, you're going to tell me something a little different here, but according to what I knew, once they practice, you can't transfer anymore. Now, tell us the breaking news you got in the last little while before you came on the air today.
Well, I spoke to a head coach / AD out of Northeast Florida, and he's been debriefed in how this new rule would actually be kind of instituted. Now, from what he was briefed on was these transfers, once they start tomorrow, or if you decide you want to transfer at the state level, they're going to be denied. But there is a secondary option, because there's always a committee, right? There's always a committee to review these things, because what happens when you get in trouble with the FHSAA, you get a chance to appeal. Mm-hmm. So that is what's going to happen, which that will be a separate group from what I understand, what I was just told from the FHSAA. It'll be essentially a subcommittee of folks that will kind of look over this appeal, and they'll decide whether the transfer should happen or not. And that is where I guess you can look at it as there may be a loophole around this thing, because yes, the FHSAA, as I was told by the executive director, Craig Damon, that once July 27th hits, once you hit that practice field, that you are locked in with your team. As Lee Corso once said, not so fast, my friend. You may actually have a chance if you're somebody that doesn't like where you're at first. You may be able to appeal to this subcommittee and, I don't know, state your case, whatever that may be, whether it's a military move or, from what I understand, it needs to be something of extraordinary circumstance. Now, I don't know if, hey, I just think my team isn't very good, I want to go somewhere else. That's probably not going to work. But I would imagine if you had a case of being a military move in or, something of nature that you really just had to make that move, you may just get your way. You may get approved. So I think there is a way around this. I mean, I hate to be putting out ideas for kids to probably sit there and go,
yeah.
But that is it. I mean, that is what I just heard.
But why would you hate to do that though? I mean, the kids here, and is the coach leaving at such a late hour? Wouldn't that be one of those, exceptions? Wouldn't that be one of those things that the committee would take into account? And I mean, they still don't have a coach as we speak.
I mean, you would have to believe that has to, whoever the subcommittee would be to be hearing out an appeal. Yeah, I would hope that they would actually take that into account. But as probably a lot of coaches would speak to, or if I said it, they'd probably nod their head on the other end of watching this podcast. They would say the people that makes these decisions aren't always athletic. People who know athletics. They're people that don't really know athletics. They're people who know more about academics or, other areas of education. They don't really pay attention to what high school football or any other sports teams are doing. So when they think about making these decisions, they're kind of looking at it from a different lens. So to me, I mean, if I heard something of, hey, I'm moving because of A, B, C, D, I mean, to me, the conclusion X, Y, or Z has to be because of, whatever I heard in between. So I'm sure so many scenarios we could play through and say, hey, there's going to be this, that, and the other, but we're not going to know until the stories start coming out that, oh, this kid tried leaving here for this reason. And it's going to happen all over the state. To me, I was like, this is going to be a more when, not if. Like, we're going to see kids challenge the rulings, because look at the Brendan Sorsby case with Texas Tech. I mean, you have to look at that and say, okay, all you have to do is find somebody who's sympathetic to the situation and saying, okay, this makes sense. We should rule him eligible based on, but what makes sense to that person who's sympathetic to that situation may not make sense to a bunch of other people. They're going to look at it and go, how in the world? How is this allowed? So I think it's definitely going to be kind of I hate to say it, a mess, because you don't have, I think, a overall guideline that the FHSAA is really defining what a bona fide move is. Not like in Georgia, where they have kind of defined what a bona fide move is. They do have a task force that is kind of on it when it comes to verifying your residence. They visit your home, they verify you live there, they check utility bills. Probably the only thing they don't do is do it multiple times a year, but they'll do it one time. Florida, I don't think you have that. I think I've heard this, I won't say who I heard this from, but a coach told me one time, Andy, it's about as easy as presenting a piece of paper that looks like an official document saying, I rent a place here, this is the address, and almost like a voila, here's my new home, and here, let me register at this school.
Again, talking with Andy Villamarzo, and John, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Andy, also probably a part of the story too with this Booker situation is the weird timing of everything. And one of the things I don't want to play conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but things you hear about people, why would this take so long? If they knew something about this, or are they trying to somehow keep the Booker team together by not firing Coach Woods until maybe till after the 27th, so the kids were going to be on campus, and then that way the team couldn't go somewhere, or guys couldn't go because obviously there's always rumors about things. So that was one of the things I heard that might be a thought. Or because the only other thing it could be is that you didn't know what was going on. Rich mentioned that somebody came to the school board meeting. Well, the school board, that's policymakers. Okay. The school districts is a different story. Those are the people who are supposed to know what's going on. They're the guiding force.
Right.
And maybe in this, maybe somebody gave out some wrong advice, or again, you just mentioned something. People that don't know the athletic lay of the law or how things work, thinking to themselves, oh, it'll be fine. The kids will be happy no matter what it is. And we can do this and just go until we can get past it. And we'll find a coach a week or two before the season, or maybe we'll promote from within. Who knows what it may have been. But what in your mind's eye, again, I don't want you to, no definiteness, but where do you see the thought pattern this will take to have it be so weird in the way it kind of laid out time-wise?
Thought process? Not sure there was one. Sounds almost kind of, just like it. Now, to speculate, maybe that was their thinking, is they see like there's a date in mind that practices start and kids may be locked into where they're at. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we're people. We're going to ask questions. We're going to wonder who, above us is. Why. I mean, like somebody like Woods being the head coach and athletic director, by the way. I mean, he's not there. He's not there to direct not only the football team, but other athletic teams.
Yep.
Yeah. So It's kind of like, what are we doing? Like, we have games against Venice High School, against Valdosta High School, against St. John's College over in Washington, D.C. We got to play Cardinal Mooney later in the season. Like, we need to kind of know, because if we're going to go and play these teams, we kind of need to have the reassurance that we have a head coach capable of leading us into those games. Because if you just take whoever and put them in that position and say, hey, you've never done this, but let's go play these nationally ranked teams or these really good teams. Like, I don't think somebody that is really knowing high school football the way they do, they're going to sit there and just take your word for it. It's kind of like, hey, you need to be proven in order to, you got to kind of know where you're going in order to get there. And somebody like Woods just showed you he can get to the state semifinals if you give him a talented team. He just had, players to probably do that. Maybe again, make another deep run, but you take him out of the equation. You have, I believe the parent that went up there that I saw, her name is Shaylin Summers. She's the mother of the quarterback, Mason Summer. He was formerly at Booker. Last year, he was at Manatee. She went up and I think they gave her like a minute 30 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's the standard issue. Yeah.
So I did listen to her, soliloquy about kind of everything going on. And I mean, definitely you're talking about somebody who's within that program. She's speaking as somebody that knows like what was going on. So, I mean, hey, I'm going to take for what she knows. I know her husband, Bowen Summer, he was somebody that was helping out with the program as well. I mean, these are things that you would have to believe were going on. Like, they did know, in fact, that Woods may have been, basically terminated a month ago. And at that time, think about if they did it a month ago. Well, now you have some time to go through your processes, as you will, and vet somebody and hire someone maybe capable of leading this program. Because you got to think there's probably some people between Charlotte, Sarasota, Manatee counties. I mean, there's people that want to be a head coach that have had previous experience. So it's not like it's not an attractive place when you're thinking about athletes and facilities. And, obviously the challenges of the schedule included. If you do well, guess what? You're going to catapult your name towards the top of some people's lists when it comes to, hey, that guy stepped into a pretty wild situation and he did pretty good. So, you make a name for yourself as well. So, yeah, I think that they probably knew, but like we're saying, probably not the right people really looking into the situation with athletics background.
Yes, and because if you wanted to carry out the letting go of Coach Woods, do it a month ago, whatever it may be. Hire, you might have a good offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator on your staff. promote them up. So everything's cohesive as far as the offense is concerned, play calling, all that kind of stuff, which is obviously a vital part of what's going to happen to whoever it is now. And they got to walk in there and you're going to say, okay, I'm the coach, but I don't know what you run on offense here. Unless you're coming from within. I don't know what's going on. So, and this all seems like that maybe it was about trying to do the right thing for the kids. I don't know exactly what they were thinking, but ultimately this played out, no matter what you think, as the worst case scenario you could possibly have. Because now everybody's in limbo, and by the look of what I saw on social media, like I said, these kids were ready to go. They knew something, which probably was why it was percolating. I mean, within hours, I'm going here. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. So they already had something in mind, knowing
paperwork complete. Yeah. Paperwork complete.
And in many cases, paperwork not complete. But I mean, yes, I mean, you have a lot of premature announcements.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get onto the field. All right, because as we found out the other day, the 941's loaded this year. We got a lot of teams. I think we had John, 5 teams make the state semis last year.
Yes.
And of course, Cardinal Mooney went all the way. And you'd have to think that a lot of those teams, now you got dropped Booker out of there, but you got to think certainly Venice has got a shot. As a matter of fact, Coach Peacock's been very open about the fact that he wants to be in the open selection. Open, what do they call it, John?
Open division.
Open division. Thank you. Yeah, open division. He wants to be in the open division. Port Charlotte didn't really want to talk about that, but they were leading going into the fourth quarter last year at Jones. And they've got the duo back, plus the running back. I mean, they are absolutely.
Trust me.
Yes,
it's a trio.
It's trio. Yeah,
that kid can run football. He does not get tackled very easily. I can promise you that.
Nope. And there's a lot of other really good teams in the 941. Andy, give us kind of the top 5 in your book in this area.
Ooh, man, I don't want to go in order because I'm sure I'll
just go ahead.
But I'll go ahead and say maybe alphabetically: Cardinal Mooney, Port Charlotte, Venice, Manatee, which that's not going in alphabetical, but and then I'm trying. I mean, IMG would be very no brainer. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about them being. I consider them a South Suncoast team only because they are technically there in Bradenton, but I know they're a collection of players from
Andy,
everywhere.
I'll say the same thing because last year when they played at Venice, Ryan Sudol, who's their media guy, came and sat and did the live stream with me in the game. And before we started, he said, "You're our biggest rival," meaning Venice. So I'm like, wait, this really? I mean, but you play every year. Yeah, that's been the case. It's local. So, it's like there was something to that. You're tied to another team that's a national power. So there was and he may have been being nice, but maybe a little tongue in cheek, but I think there's something to that. And giving to your point, IMG is from this area. Okay. And hey, you just can't say they came from Mars, that they're kids that came down, that could move in. We see it, everybody sees it all the time. The kids parents and kids these days, the IMG idea is that you're probably paying to play, and that's in that situation. And some people look around and saying, well, maybe we don't have to do that. Maybe you just move down to sunny Florida and we can be somewhere in Manatee County and we'll be on the Palmetto Tigers, or something like that. So there's enough good teams in this area. And I think that you can include IMG in that, with the understanding they're not going to play for championships. That's what they're not really their thing, which I think maybe they will be someday. Maybe when that open division gets settled, maybe it does sort of include the IMGs of the world, because I know what it's going to nationally. They're always ranked. Bishop Gorman, another school like that, but St. Thomas Aquinas is too, and they're part of the FHSAA, playoff system. So we'll see how that turns out as well. But no, I think you're real close on your 5. I last year I had said that, but I thought there'd be 5 teams in the semifinals. This year I don't think so, because they've made the districts bigger. So especially that 3A district with Cardinal Mooney, with Booker, with Bayshore. I know I'm forgetting another one.
Southeast. With Southeast.
So I think that you may not see. Maybe that takes 1 or 2 off that from there. On the flip side, you have the 6A division, which has Sarasota, which is on the move up. Riverview, that's always a perennial power. Venice is in there, Lakewood Ranch, Lehigh, and I'm forgetting another one as well.
Northport.
So anyway, so you may not have as many teams, but I think you'll have definitely two or three for sure getting to that, maybe to that final game, and see how that plays out, and maybe one or two that, if everything goes right away, they do fall into the open division, which would be a really interesting scenario to see how that plays out. Because that's like a subtext of the season, I think, is you're watching your team win or whatever's going on, and you're saying to yourself, where are we in the top 8 scenario here? Because we might not be looking at this team in the region or whatever. We might be looking at playing somebody who's going to be one hell of a football team.
Yeah, I think it's kind of it's going to be real interesting to see how the Max Preps rankings kind of find, names who those top 8 teams are. And I think with no human element, that's something that's going to be also interesting, is how does the entire state take that? Because you're going to look at these top 8 teams, and if somebody doesn't belong, I mean, I'm sure somebody's going to be vocal about it in the state, and it's going to go out there, and you're either going to have, you'll have social media approval. You either have a lot of people nodding their heads like, hey, I agree with them, I don't think that team belongs. Or you're going to look at that top 8 and go, that makes sense. Like, it looks like the right 8 teams that'll, deserve to be in there. And I think, like, I've made a way too early prediction on who those 8 teams are. Now, I didn't have any, I think I did have Cardinal Mooney in there, but when I look at their schedule, I think it's advantageous that they could go undefeated. And I think that's going to be something to where it'll help your overall kind of ranking when it comes at the end. You're going to look at the strength of your schedule. And I think Coach Peacock pointed out with his schedule that I think that's something that's going to hurt Venice overall, is the strength of it, especially now that Booker's not going to be a team that is, as competitive. So your first 2 games, against Booker and Smart End Academy, I'm just going to be real. They're going to sleepwalk and win those games by a lot. So I think you're not being tested if you're the Indians until week 3, when you got to make that trip to Bryant Stadium over in Lakeland. Now that's your first test, but it doesn't help that you just played 2 teams that, I just don't know how much of a battle they're going to really put up. The game's probably going to be over by halftime. So you're now going to play a Lakeland team that's going to give you 4 quarters. That. Yeah. So to me, their season is, and no disrespect to like Sarasota Riverview or Sarasota or any of these teams. They're fine teams. I just believe that Venice should beat these teams. I think Venice's season relies on 2 games, and that's Lakeland and Rains. The 2 away games. If they win those 2 games, well, then you get to 10-0, and you have that opportunity to play within that open division. You lose one of them, I think you're out, and that's how slim the margin is for them.
I will tell you this, one of the things too about the open division is sometimes with these polls, it's where you start in the poll as well, because you got to hopscotch all those good teams.
That's absolutely huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So all these teams that are perennial powers and good, they already got the rankings right now. In regards to what's the preseason or those are based on what the talent could be and what you've been in the past, because that's all you can judge at this point. And so you have to look at that and you say, well, let's say it is Venice, and let's say they're starting out at 42. You've got to go over 34 other teams and do it impressively in order to get in there. And again, if you have a game. Let's say you do have a great year and you go 9-1, like you said, a 1 loss, and somebody else goes 9-1, and they've got a better schedule. You're not going to pass that team, especially if they're already predicted to be in the top 20 or the top 15. So that's going to help them as well. So the open division, I think you have some control over it, but not nearly the amount of control you had over if you're in a Class 6A, Class 5A, Class 4A scenario where win your district, go out there, you're in the playoffs, you're in the system. Where the open division is going to still be a little bit of a beauty contest, leading, especially early on. You're weeding out a bunch of teams right off the bat, and there'll be probably 35 teams maybe vying for 8 spots, but depending on how they win and where they win in the season is going to make a big deal about it. So I think it'll bring a lot of conversation like this is doing right now, but I also know that it's going to be difficult in some cases if there is a slight stumble or maybe not a great win that you kind of beat somebody you shouldn't beat them by enough. And that's the other part of that too. Do we go back to the days where we're winning 84-0 so that you can establish your dominance and have a good look at something because you want that open division? That's we won't know until things get started, and we won't. And a lot of times it's coach philosophy or whatever it may be, but it could be something that proves to be an interesting part of the whole process.
Yeah, I think that also a record really doesn't always indicate how good your team really is, because there was a team, Plantation American Heritage, last year.
Yep.
They went 5-5. They went 5-5. They played probably the toughest schedule in Florida last year. I mean, yeah, they played Chaminade Madonna. They played St. Thomas Aquinas. They started off the season in a 28-0 comeback victory over St. Joseph's Prep out of Philadelphia. They also played Edna Carr out of New Orleans, and they played in the Superdome without their 5-star quarterback, Dia Bell. Yeah. I talked to Mike Smith, not last weekend, but the weekend before, and he was telling me the whole story, just saying, Andy, I had to put a wide receiver who had never played quarterback since youth league. I had to practice him for like 2 practices before we played in the Superdome. So think about a quarterback that had no reps, just had to go for a couple practices, and you play within a touchdown of Edna Carr, the best team out of Louisiana. I mean, like, what a coaching job by him and his staff to get to the Class 4A state championship and beat an Orlando Jones team who had Darion Coleman, who ended up going to Miami to play with Ashari Charles. And, I mean, they beat them with a team that, I'll tell you what, when you talk about the fashion or the kind of the looks test, I saw them run out of the tunnel there at Pitbull Stadium, and I looked at somebody and he said, is this it? Is this all they got? You know, they had like 40 kids, you know, and you see the powerhouses. You look and they bring kids up from the JV. If they could throw some middle schoolers on that team, they want to make it as good as they can make it look, because you want to make your sidelines look nice and thick. You want to make it. I mean, Heritage really brought the 40 kids they felt like were going to actually play, and they won the game. And I literally, right after that, guys, I said, this is my coach of the year right here. This guy went through the ringer, and then he has this group that doesn't look imposing at all. And all he does is go out and win a state championship. And to me, sometimes a 10-5 team can be every bit as good as a 15-0 team.
And I think that's where it's going to be interesting to see, because we're not going to know the formula as to how they pick or rank these teams. And what your argument right there about for American Heritage would be a no-brainer to most people who logically follow high school football. Okay, then a no-brainer that team should be in the top 8, but you don't know. Again, what is this? You know, this formula that they're coming up. Will it account for certain things? Will it account for the number 1 player in the country, among number 1 quarterback in the country, getting hurt in the first game and then saying, "Peace out, I'm going to save myself for college," and then they got to figure things out on the fly, like you said. I don't know how you put that into the formula, because that's subjective. That's not something you put into a computer and it spits out a number. So it's going to be interesting to see how it does play out. I will say this, personal opinion, while I think it's going to be fun to watch, I don't know if I would want to be a part of it the first year. Maybe you get a better feeling. I mean, if you are, I guess it's a huge feather in your cap, but I wouldn't be overly upset by it. I would say, let's see how this plays out. Let's see what happens. And maybe you can figure out, hey, I do need to get a tougher schedule next year. Hey, maybe I don't need a tougher schedule, because it was more about 10-0 than it was about 5-5, but we were a better team than them. And they didn't figure it in for our injuries or somebody else's stuff. So I think that maybe, next year, going into it, if it still exists, I would imagine it will, especially if they can sell it and make some money for it. You know, that's always a big part of what the FHSAA likes to do. So I think that would be a scenario where I wouldn't be upset by it. I can see what the field is really about, and then I can go forward from there, but who knows?
Yeah, I think one coach said at one of the media days, which you guys did a great job. I mean, I watched the YouTube presentation. I thought you guys did a really great job. But I was over at the one up in Jacksonville for presented by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and one coach Toby Bullock for Mandarin, I asked the question. I said, "What are your thoughts on the Open Division and just kind of, whoever wins it, like how do you view them?" And he was, he was very blunt and very straightforward, just saying, "Andy, whoever wins Florida's Open Division is the best team in the United States. Like they are the best team in the country." And I was like, "Wow, okay, like that is a strong take."
There are a lot of people think that.
Yeah, and I'm sure folks from California and Texas and Alabama and Georgia,
Texas especially, having lived there, boy.
Well,
yeah, that probably went up sideways.
Well, the thing is, though, why I also believe the same thing is because now you've taken all the classification situations out of it. You're taking, if it's Chaminade at 2A and it's Miami Carroll City at 3, whatever, all these different schools that we know the sort of if they're all there and they're going to play in a round robin tournament, the winner who pops out of there deserves to be called national champion. And if that does happen, or they get rankings like that, it's going to spawn some other things. If this works, this is the template for a lot of other things to happen. A national Open Division, maybe we see those teams getting together. Maybe you go up and down, rise and fall. You're in on a relegation scenario back and forth. Who knows what it turns into? But I'm telling you, if it's successful and money's to be made, there'll be a lot of states saying, no, we want to be that guy. We want to be number one, and we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I think the one thing I try to bring up to people that may stand in the way are the state associations and kind of their own, like you said, I think their agendas and, well, one, yes, making money, but, also kind of to protect their teams because like Texas, for instance, like we just mentioned, they don't really test themselves outside the borders of the Lone Star State. They like to stay in their little region. And I did my own little way too early top 25 national rankings, and something that you will look at through the 25 teams is I think I put one Texas team in there, and I believe I had Duncanville, and I didn't put anybody else. And I got some messages and people were like, "Why don't you have more Texas teams? Don't you know, like Texas is the high school football capital of the country?" And I said, well, I'm not going to deny that. If we're ranking like how crazy their fans are, they're
stadiums,
number one.
Stadiums and atmosphere. I get it.
Yeah. I'm not ranking that though. I'm not ranking like whose state is more crazed for high school football. That I'm not going to deny. Texas is the say all be all with that. But if we're talking about challenging themselves and playing other states and inviting that, you have to have Florida, California. I would even give Georgia, New Jersey. There's other states that allows their teams to challenge themselves outside the state boundaries and get a taste of for what other high school football looks like and how they match up against those teams. And I don't think Texas does a very good job of that. I actually think Texas stays within those bounds. One team I will give credit to, one team is DeSoto. I think DeSoto has decided we're going to go and venture outside the state. And they did that last year. They played Creekside out of Georgia and they got beat by like 50. So to me, like one of your best teams went on the road and they lost by 50. I don't know how to judge your other teams because all they do is play other Texas teams. So, maybe if you played more teams out of other states, there would be a better barometer to judge your teams on. I got to see St. Thomas Aquinas play Mater Dei last year. Mater Dei was one of the top teams in California. Aquinas played toe-to-toe with them. Yes, it's hard to play matchups and say, what if this team played this team? But that's all we have to go off of. Right. We have to go off of what our eyes tell us and what happened on the field and play the scenario game. We got to say, well, maybe if St. John Bosco played Chaminade, this might be what it is. Or, there was also, to speak to the national scope of things when it comes to championship, there was overtime. The company, they put on a national championship game that involved St. Francis Academy out of Baltimore playing Corner Canyon out of Utah. And that is something they're looking to trying to do, is a national kind of playoff from everything I've reported and kind of discovered through, talking to sources. And I feel like that is something that is going to happen. I really don't feel like it's another one of these, not a if, I think it's a when, because we go back to the almighty dollar. You know, people obviously probably want to make money, monetize high school football like they have with college. And I think that's what high school is starting to mimic is college. Like that's
Absolutely right. That's
because
100% right.
Yeah.
And whatever happens at the college level, it's happening immediately within a year at the high school level. It's coming down because, again, even the way high school football has become all over the country. I tip my cap to all the high school coaches out there. It is not like it used to be. You are a college coach. It is media. It is, kids coming and going, moving into town to be a player on your team. It's dealing with all these kind of things. Look what we're talking about right now with Booker. There's a portal that opened up, right? That's what it is. And off they go. They're allowed to do because there's a portal there. So all those things are definitely involved. And unfortunately, part of that is as well, if there's money at the college level for kids, don't you think there's somebody in every community who thinks that, well, you know what? I'm gonna be a great asset to the old home team, and I'm gonna see if I can't get us a couple of guys and lure them in with a little bit of cash ourselves. You can't be naive and think that that's not happening in a lot of cases. We don't want to believe it, but that is true because that's what's going on in college, and they're seeing it and they're saying it can happen. So there's a lot to be said about it. I don't know if you can govern it even the NCAA really just figuring out now how to govern it. I don't know how you can govern thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of different schools all over the country and get one uniform scenario. I don't think it's possible. I think what it comes down to is it's got to be governed by the people who know something about sports in the local area. Hopefully it's a school district. Hopefully maybe it's just a committee of people that people think that, hey, you know what? Let's get a committee of football savvy or sports savvy people who can come together and let's look at these things logically so we don't fall into these sort of black holes of what can turn into a bad situation at a high school football. Or, by the way, volleyball and softball and you name it, it's the same. It might even be worse because they're as feverish as about their sports as the football fans are as well.
Yeah, I mean, what's the old cliche saying? I mean, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, right? I mean, so I mean, you have, and I think I put a tweet out about kind of just there was a meme that was going around of like kind of like hot takes when it comes to football, and my hot take was there's a lot of high school coaches who know of other high school coaches who are doing illegal things and don't really say anything about it, and then everybody was like, well, if you know of all these illegal things going on, why don't you report on every single illegal thing you hear? And I'm like, well, okay. Also, I have a lot of off the record conversations. If you know anything about media and journalism, I can't take that and turn it into a story because that coach will deny it. And he'll just say, yeah, we had that conversation just between me and you. So yeah, I have knowledge that there's nefarious things going on. Can I report on every single one? No, because one, I don't have the evidence. Two, I'm not trying to put my job in jeopardy. And three, it's just not something I can prove at the moment. If I could prove it, if I had the evidence, yeah, I mean, I think there is things that go on that, are very college-like. And you just hear these stories and you're kind of like, wow. But right. I mean, how do you follow the paper trail, as they say? I mean, because if you know how to do it, you're obviously somebody who's been getting away with it probably for years, or you're somebody that just knows what they're doing. So to me, it's just, I sit back and look at the state of Florida and kind of when people say, oh, well, this team is getting transfers or, it's not fair. And it's like, but if you're not adapting with the times, like college football, I think we've all heard Clemson's Dabo Sweeney kind of, he's very steadfast and like he doesn't like transfers. He doesn't want a bunch of transfers coming to the Clemson Tigers. Well, I think a lot of people would probably look at him and say, well, why are you so stuck in a different time? Because, yeah, there probably was a time that you didn't need to get transfers and it probably was frowned upon. But now almost people want to microwave success. They're not really trying to develop from within. So right. You have to get people that can go into those positions and help you right now, because that is the culture. That is what we're in, is a right now type culture. We need to win right now. I need this player to produce right now. I can't wait till next year for him to be a good prospect, because I don't know if I'll be here next year. If he, my success lies within, what he does on the field. And in college football, that's what's going on. I mean, you see Georgia and Alabama and USC and all these big schools. I mean, they get transfer quarterbacks because they're proven products from wherever they came from. They may have played at a mid-major or another school, and it just becomes this big bidding contest and trying to get somebody that can come in and be able to get the job done. And I think that is where you look at high school football and you say, you probably start somewhere where you made a name for yourself at a small school. And how I see a lot of these careers develop is they'll gradually move up, kind of like how you do in college football nowadays. Right. Is you start at a small school and you kind of work your way up, because college football is not a 4-year game anymore. To me, it's year to year. You are right. evaluating just like they're evaluating you. So you're looking at it like, yeah, I mean, I did really good here, but I just probably earned myself a bunch of options because of what I did this past season for whatever team.
No, you're 100% right. Andy, I know you got to go pretty soon, right? You got to.
Yes.
So I think, Rich, I think we need to thank Andy, and then we'll let
yes,
get through this thing. Yeah,
we really appreciate you taking the time, Andy, and we'll look forward to that top 8 list that's going to come out. Where can we find that, by the way, and where can we find you on social media?
Well, I'm like Dion. I'm not hard to find. You can find me. You can find me on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Andy_Villamarzo. You can find me on Instagram. I post a ton of clips from all the games I attend. I'm going to be starting in Georgia in a couple weeks. I'm going to go up for the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic. That is at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And then I'm going to come back to the Sunshine State. I'll cover some games, and you'll follow along. I encourage everybody to, because I'll be everywhere, man. I'm going to be going all over the state of Florida. I'll go to Georgia, Alabama. I'm planning to go to New Jersey, Pennsylvania. I'm even going to try to go out west, maybe to a game in California. So yeah, I tell these people I'm going to cover it. I got to be everywhere. I got to try to put myself in a position where people are like, you just don't know. He might show up here. It's like
Andy, when we see you've been to something that that piques our interest, you're going to get a call or a text message from one of us to come back and talk a little bit more. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Right. Well, hey, thank you guys for having me, and yeah, I'd love to come back.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Take it easy. He's Andy Villamarzo, and again, he's on 3rivals.com, and a lot of knowledge there, a lot of stuff. I wanted to hear his top 8, but we just ran out of time, so. We'll look.
And Rich, I'll tell you the truth. I would appreciate that to know the top 8, but sometimes I'm like, it is too early. It's very early. But again, we probably could see the writing on the wall. Like, we know that there's going to be some teams that are state champions last year. We've heard a few names like Vero Beach. I mean, they had a game 1 until the last play of the game, and they've got guys coming back, and they're going to be a powerhouse. And so there's going to be some teams that are going to be familiar from last year because they've got guys coming back. But you've got perennial powers such as Shaman Abadana and St. Thomas Aquinas and American Heritage. They're going to see those teams, and potentially Venice. You could see that as well. Cardinal Mooney coming up state championship and being loaded. You would think the same thing there. So nonetheless, it'll be a great high school season. I can tell you this. I love Media Day. I think it's fantastic. We're patting each other on the back right now because it does come off very well. But the thing about it for me is that it's a springboard because we're ready to start looking at football. We got this week, we had Media Day. Another week or so, we're in practicing. We've got a Hall of Fame game for the NFL coming on August 6th. And at that point, it's all downhill. Everything is happening downhill. You and I have discussed this too. We're going to be a little top heavy, just like we were with Andy right now, regarding high school football, because it is such a big deal in this area. And I think it deserves the time that maybe it doesn't get all the time in regards to games and scores and highlighting players and certain things like that. So I think we're going to try to do our best to sort of get in with a lot of different folks. And we met a lot of people that we've known a lot of people too, Rich, no doubt about it, but getting insight from them as to what's going on. And when we see something that is noteworthy. We'll do that, and I think we also are pledging to have like a game of the week that we can follow each and every week. I think did we already pick the one we want for the kickoff classic? Should we leak it out there a little bit? The budding rivalry in South Sarasota County. Do you remember which one we said?
Which one?
Northport.
Yes. Talked to Sasha Heyer and also talk to Coach Graves. So yeah, that could be the game of the week. And
yeah, no, I
I
am definitely because it's okay. Nobody in Welland Park. I live very close to Welland Park. Nobody get mad at me, but this is a significant situation. First game you're going to play, number one. That's cool, right? You're playing a natural rival right off the bat, okay? And I love Coach Heyer. He's been a Venice guy for a long time, and I know most of his staff, if not all of his coaching staff. But this is going to be a game that might be the chance to sort of show yourself a little bit, because the rest of the season is going to be hard. I love the fact that they're all they're positive thinking and everything else, but it's going to be a tough situation. So the energy, the newness, everything else, I think it deserves the attention of that kickoff classic, and we'll see what happens. It'll be kind of fun to do that. And then somebody doesn't say, "Oh, you guys are all you ever have is Cardamone, Venice, and Bayshore, and
Riverview,
and Manatee." Because they're going to play in a lot more significant football games than you guys are. So I think giving them the opportunity to showcase their new place and showcase everything they're doing. Great uniforms. You saw them. They look good, decked out. Those
sharp.
white helmets are
very sharp.
Yeah. So I think that's cool. So you look good, you feel good, you play good. That's a cool deal. Rich, anything else that you saw or talked to Andy that popped out of the page, or something you want to bring up that came up media day, or how you feeling?
I'm ready for toe to meat leather, as Gene Duckerhoff would say. Toe to meat leather. Let's just get these games going. As you're watching this podcast, if you're not watching it live, everybody will have started practice on Monday or Tuesday, depending on what Booker decides to do. I mean, who's going to run their practice? I mean, I guess that's the next big thing, is who's going to be the coach of Booker and
who's going to open the door,
like
get in.
Right. Exactly. and like Andy said, they play Venice the first game, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say Coach Peacock's not going to show any mercy.
Well, the thing is you got to go out there, and you can't go into a season and you're playing. You got to get right. In college football, everybody, a lot of the big schools wouldn't play a tough game. Now that they've sort of changed that narrative around, where you got these interconference games that are being played, but you needed a preseason game to get yourself started. I'm not saying Booker's a preseason game. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, he's not going to go out there and say
it could be like one, though. That's the thing. It was supposed to be a tremendous matchup, and it could turn into a preseason type game.
But you got to run your offense. You got to run against different. You've been practicing you've been doing whatever for months, conditioning. Then you're in your summer workouts or summer practices. You got to go live, because you're going to face a team, and you're going to get hit right in the face on week 3 with Lakeland, and you're not ready for it. You better be ready for it. You can get, trust me, there's gonna be enough kids out there to get sharp with. There's no doubt about that. Just don't know. I said, and I'm not trying to be callous, because I do really feel for that whole program, the way it went down. I'm not blaming anybody in the football family over there per se. I know whatever happened with Coach Woods is whatever happened with Coach Woods, but administratively, this is a disaster. On campus and in the district, because somebody's got. If we know about it, if we knew something about it, okay, you and Andy both said, yeah, we heard something, then they didn't. Don't tell me they didn't know something.
Right.
All right. So if this was your plan, this is the idea, you're an administrator, and this is what you're going to do. If that's the case, the only thing I could say, Rich, that would make any sense to me, if somebody comes out on Monday or tomorrow and says, you know what, I really don't care about sports or football. I don't care what they do. Then I can understand that. I'd say, okay, well, they don't give a crap, so I guess that's okay. But in this case, to think that this is a plan that was going to lead to success for anything or anybody in that scenario it's dumb. I hate to say it. It's dumb. It's not cocky. It's just dumb. And so I think that whoever came up with this idea, it really didn't think it out very, very, very smartly. And now who pays the price? The kids.
The kids.
And the
Correct.
parents, because the parents are involved
The
in this
kids.
too. They pay the price too,
Yep.
because what they were expecting to have happen, what the buy-in was, has just been washed down the toilet.
Yep, no question about it. All right, I can't wait to start talking about on the field stuff. I really do.
No doubt.
I mean, yeah. So, all right, the 941 Sports Zone, our brand new sponsor is Carroll GMC on the beautiful island of Venice. Sales and selection is top notch there. Experience what car buying should be. Who can make you drive with a smile? Carroll can. Again, go see Monty Jacobs and the gang there at Carroll GMC on the island of Venice.
And I know that Rich test drove a car this weekend, so he got.
Yes, I did, and I want to thank. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
And then also, as media day was going on, a few phone calls came in and said, "Who do I speak to at Carroll GMC about getting a car for my daughter or whatever?" And I said, "Monty Jacobs will get you to your salesperson, and you're off and running."
Yep.
So, really, really cool scenario. Happy to have them fully on board with what's going on, and hope it's a long relationship, because I know that I know they have a good time for media day. For guys who are working and
They do
having
a
all that
tremendous
chaos
job,
around,
yeah.
boy, are they having as much fun as anybody else, and they're still selling cars. So good for them on that whole process.
Yep. All right, let's move to other sports in our area. Start with our Tampa Bay Rays. Last week we were kind of down on them. They had lost 5 in a row. They went to Boston and basically got massacred 4 straight. We were kind of questioning how they set up the pitching and how everything, came down. And is this the beginning of the end? Well, the answer is no. A big emphatic no, because then they went to Toronto and took 3 out of 4, only losing the last game 3-1, leaving a small village on the bases during that game. And then they just finished earlier on Sunday a sweep of the Cleveland Guardians, one of the teams regarded as among the best in the AL Central, and they held the Guardians to 3 runs in 3 games. And this is the pitching that I really wanted to see in the Boston series, but I kind of see Kevin Cash's method to the madness. He got those guys a few extra days, and the 3 of them pitched tremendously. 1 run allowed by the starters in 3 games against the team that is widely considered one of the best in the AL.
Well, Rich, I will tell you this. We both said we felt like there was a lump in our throat. It's like a critical moment. Don't lose 4 in a row to the hot team in your division and then go and crap the bed right after that. You know what I mean? We were both saying it seemed vital to them to get back on track, because there is a deadline coming up very soon about if you're going to be a player in getting in the free agency market or the trade time, whatever it's going to be. So we were concerned. Well, take away the concerns, because again, Kevin Cash, I trust him. I still wouldn't have maybe approached it. I think your approach to things, how you put it together last week, made more sense than sort of like, kind of casual with the idea they don't need to play or give them an extra couple of days. But it worked. If that was the goal, to come out of that 3-5, or whatever it can end up being. So then that's great. It came out that way. But I would have loved to see it flip the script on that, maybe be 5-3 instead of being 3-5. I did see where they were this morning. I was sort of doing the half paying attention to ESPN, and they were talking about where everybody stands in the wild card and whatnot. And it's nice to see a board that has nothing, but the Rays are not on it, because everybody else, it's nice to not see them on that. Oh, they're 2.5 out of the 3rd wild card spot. They're still firmly in first place, and that's a good thing to see.
Yeah, 2.5 games pending the outcome of the Yankees-Phillies game. They're playing a Sunday night game. Imagine that, New York and Philadelphia on Sunday night. The Rays actually played Cleveland Sunday early afternoon. That's kind of turned out to be a nice little time slot as well. And now the Rays continue with this homestand. And again, John, they have the best record in baseball by a mile at home.
Yeah,
I believe they're 38-15 at home.
The irony of that, Rich, about about everybody thinking that place was a dump,
right?
It's a problem, and they have this massive home field advantage. Did it take for the players to sit in the hot sun over at Steinbrenner Field to realize how
For a year.
wonderful it is to
Yep.
play in the air conditioning? I think it did. I think it did. I think it was something like, oh,
Fans
so
too.
this is not that well. Look, I work in the sun most of the
Yes.
time, right?
Mhm.
I know how hot it is. I don't talk about it because,
Yeah.
like, what am I going to do about it? But when you
Right.
have a choice and you're saying, "Oh, the atmosphere is terrible," I don't know. I don't blah, 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 whatever you hear. I'm like, no, go sit outside for a summer and watch
Yeah.
some baseball. Go watch a 1-0 pitchers duel, and when it's 110 degrees in the sun, and see how much you like that.
Right.
You don't. You're the players. You're the fans. It's no fun. So anybody who thinks that, oh, I think it'd be great for an open air stadium. Yeah, that's everybody who lives in Florida till April 15th. And
Right.
They run their ass home and they say, oh, they think, oh, it's like that way all the time. Trust me,
Right.
I've got plenty of people that I work for that say to myself, was it really that hot this summer? Like, no, what do you think? Every day is 95. Not like you don't get one coming through and it's like 2 days of 95. I watch Al Roker every morning, Rich, and I see Al Roker say, well, today, everybody, go inside. It's going to be 99, and tomorrow it's going to be 72. We
Yeah.
don't get
Get
72.
that right. You don't
We
unless
get
you got to
98 the next day.
right. Absolutely. So
Stupid. Anyway.
2 more home series against Texas and the Chicago White Sox, 2 first place teams. One in the AL West, one in the AL Central. Now their records are not gaudy or great, but they're in first place. The question begs, and again, the trade deadline is a week from Monday, August 3rd. Are the Rays going to do something different than they have for years and years and years? They've got a different ownership group. Do they go out? Do they make a couple of moves? Do they trade some of the capital down on the farm? There's not, I know everybody talks about, the Rays and the farm system and they're in the top 5 and this, that, and the other thing. Well, baseball people know that's a little inflated. Okay. The Rays don't have the talent down there that they used to make trades like this. So they may have to trade somebody off the 40 man. They may have to trade somebody off the roster if they want to get better. The question is,
Right.
Will they? And that's a big question with a week to go.
We're going to find a little bit of, maybe not all the way, but we're going to find out what, again, Nick was saying about the ownership group. What's their philosophy going to be? How they're going to run the team? Obviously, the formula that's been working on the field is working just fine. Let's see if the behind the scenes, as far as philosophy for trying to get players to make the push towards the World Series, if that is the case.
Hall of Fame inductions were Sunday afternoon in Cooperstown, New York. 3, I think, worthy candidates were in. It's not like Scott Rowland a couple of years ago. Jeff Kent, second baseman for the Giants for most of his career. He deserved to be in. He had to be voted in by the Veterans Committee, and the 2 guys that made it last year, center fielder Andruw Jones of the Braves and outfielder DH Carlos Beltran of many teams. I think the last one that he actually played for was the Mets, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe he's also been on the staff of the Astros. And yeah, he was part of the garbage can brigade, but you can't argue with his success, especially in the playoffs. Beltran hit over 400 for his career in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's coming through when you need to come through. So I think a very worthy class in Cooperstown.
And Kent was the one that I was like a little surprised because he was a power hitting second baseman, which you don't see a lot of power hitting second baseman,
right?
And so, and he got a little overshadowed by the guy named Barry Bonds, and
right.
As far as home runs are concerned. And my only thing was this: he had a sort of a, what was it called? He was sort of a hard ass kind of. He had a bit of a edge that maybe people didn't. It wasn't the most likable guy in the world.
Hard ass is a good way of putting it, John.
Yeah, and so he was that guy. So getting in, I was a little surprised because maybe sometimes you got to be Mr. Congeniality to get into some of these situations, but nonetheless, he was the best at his position for a number of years. So I guess there was something to it. Again, sometimes you look at that and you're like, let me see those numbers again. And you look at the numbers, you're like, wow, that's pretty impressive. And some years where did he not win an MVP?
He did. He won MVP.
So I remember that. So he's definitely a guy, and in a ballpark that's not home run friendly.
No, not at all. It's not as bad as Candlestick,
No,
but
that
it
was
certainly
ridiculous.
is not home run friendly.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that was just like a big fog. You couldn't see anything. I remember looking back and watching Willie Mays make catches against a chain link fence that was
Yep.
at the 460 mark, I think, out in center field. Somebody said the other day about this. They said if Mays and McCovey played anywhere else, they might be the two guys leading in home runs. Because
And there's some truth to that.
yeah, they left the Polo Ground, or I don't think McCovey did, but I know Mays did. And boy, did they have a tough time out there trying to hit home runs.
Yep. All right, that's the baseball portion. Again, the 941 Sports Zone presented by Carroll GMC. On the island of Venice, sales, selection, experience what car buying should be. And again, who can make you drive with a smile? I did it all weekend. Carroll can. And again, big thanks to Monty Jacobs for giving me a car to test drive over the weekend. I certainly do appreciate it. And go give those guys a call. He'll put you in a car. The one thing about Monty, he's a closer. You know,
there's no doubt about it.
If the Rays need a closer, bring in Monty.
Tell him what you want.
Yep.
And he's going to try to make it happen. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, football, NFL style. Bucks training camp opens on Tuesday. And while, everybody's training camp goes, and I believe that's the last day everybody reports. I believe everybody will be in camp by Tuesday. The veterans. A little extra meaning for Tampa Bay because Baker Mayfield throughout the summer has said once training camp begins, the negotiations end. So, one, do you believe him? And two, if you do, they basically have about 36 hours to get something done.
Right. And again, I didn't like Baker when he first came out. He still had that, little guy, which he's not a little guy. I mean, for the position, yes, he's not a little man. He thinks it just in position wise, but he ran his mouth a little bit too much. I think he really personality wise got himself out of Cleveland. Okay. I think he was, I think he could have been there for 10, 12 years, could have been a generational player, but I think he just sort of pushed buttons and whatever it may be, goes and backs up a few places, comes to the Buccaneers and taking advantage of his opportunities. I think you got to lock him up. I think you got to lock him up. If you don't,
so
old Baker might rise from the ashes. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's going to be a jerk on the field or not play his position properly, but that unsettledness from a guy who's kind of got that personality type doesn't do well for a locker room.
Chip on his shoulder, and definitely. So the question I have for you, and I'll answer it as well. He's looking for top 10 quarterback money. Well, apparently 11 quarterbacks right now in the NFL make $50 million plus a year. Is he a $50 million plus a year guy?
Well, the thing is so how prepared have you been with your salary cap to be able to understand that that's going to be what it's going to be? If you didn't think Baker was your guy, where are you drafting a quarterback? What's your alternate plan? You've got no alternate plan.
Not right now.
This is it. So if you're going to go into this and you say, okay, let's look at the cap. We know that when quarterbacks come due, here's the deal. You got a coach. We know he's on the hot seat. All right.
Yeah.
If they don't play well this year, he's gone. Okay.
You would think.
Okay. Now, if Baker's still your quarterback, you better lock him up, because if you don't, he's gone too, more than likely, because he may not fit the next guy or whoever that may be. So if you don't lock him up and you're going to play games with money and knowing that that's the going rate, is it length of contract? Maybe you can fudge a little bit on. Maybe you front end or back end some things. Look, you got to figure something out, because I think that if you don't figure it out, it could lead because they're not killing it. They're winning division by a 9-8 record or whatever they're doing. If you're not going to get into it and commit to it this year, I think it's over for next year, even if they do well. And I think Bowles, if doesn't have a good year, Bowles is gone too. You're starting over,
right?
If this doesn't happen, so you got to look at that perspective. If the Glazers are making a decision, I don't know what they're going to think. I really don't. Owners sometimes might be saying, well, let's not pay him a lot of money. Let's give him a 1 year or whatever we're going to do here.
Well, he's already been on a discounted contract.
Right.
Three for 100 is a bargain, and he definitely outplayed the contract.
Right. I agree.
And
so
the way this usually works is, all right, I gave you a little something. Now you got to give me a little something. And he also looks at the top 10 or 11 paid quarterbacks, and he's better than at least 3 or 4, maybe even half of them.
No, do I think he's a top 10 quarterback? No. I think he's around that in that orbit. I don't think he's that guy. He plays to it on occasion, but I think I said my point is if he's your guy, pay him. Let's get it over with. Let's get it done. And look, in 3 years from now, 2 years from now, if it didn't work out the way you want to, then maybe you move on. I don't know how I'm trying to structure the contract in a way that this is not going to be a 20-year, payment that you can't get rid of.
Right. It's not. So I think that's one of the stickling points. I think the Bucs want to go probably 2 or 3 years again, and Baker's looking for a little more long-term security. Also, if he doesn't sign the contract and he plays out this year, the Bucs can franchise him next year, and I don't think Baker's afraid of being franchised, especially since the way things are looking right now. The franchise is going to be north of $50 million because of the way the quarterback structure is right now,
based on position, based on where you are, as far as in your career. If somebody said, I'm going to franchise you, I would not. I would be like, thank you.
Yeah,
that's simple enough, right?
That's guaranteed. Boom.
Guaranteed. Why would you? If I would, and that franchise tag was put in place for the player,
right?
Not for the ownership. So when guys are like, I don't want to get this. Know what that is? That's an agent whispering in their ear saying, you don't want to take no 1-year contract because he wants you to get a 5-year contract, so he gets a big commission off that deal.
Check.
That's who doesn't like the whatchamacallit out. I'm trying to blank.
The franchise tender.
Yeah, the franchise tag. I think players would be like, great, I get good money, I'm good to go. So but I think I still would commit to the guy, go for it, see what happens. He's not a bottom tiered guy, so you're not paying a guy to test drive him. You know what he can do.
Right.
Community, and he's a fan favorite. He really is.
And I honestly believe he was hurt second half of last year. And he's not the type of guy to come out at the end of the year and, well, I had this and I'm going to have this kind of surgery. I think he was hurt. I think he got hurt in the Detroit game, and he was not the same quarterback after that.
No, I agree. I think you're right.
So the wide receiver room for the first time in a dozen years, no Mike Evans. He's in San Francisco. We got to talk about them in a second. Wide receivers, though, that remain, Ibuka, who had a good first half of the year, kind of tailed off, kind of hit a rookie wall. So I expect more of him in the second year. Jalen McMillan was hurt most of last year. 2 years ago, he burst on the scene. I think they're going to make an excellent 1-2 punch with Chris Godwin in the slot. And you got Ted Johnson, Cameron Johnson, a couple of guys you drafted. The wide receiver room is fine. I think running back is fine. O-line's going to be better. They had some injuries last year. Tristan Wirfs missed several games. He ended up 52 on the top 100 in the NFL. I think he was the only Buck to make the list.
Yeah,
actually at the top 100. And I think 52 is kind of a slap in the face. He'll be playing with a chip on his shoulder as well. So looking forward to it. The other news that came out of the Bucs, thought was kind of interesting. It's broadcast booth stuff. John Gruden is going to the Bucs Chiefs preseason game. He's going to join Rondé Barber and Chris Myers in the booth for that game. And I think that's the first step in Gruden either getting a broadcast job with the NFL or getting back into coaching in the NFL.
Yeah, but did I read it wrong? I thought Chris Myers was going to be going doing a national Fox game, and it's just John Gruden and Rondé Barber doing the game. Did I read that wrong?
I don't know, but who's doing play-by-play? Those are Gruden. 2 color commentators.
John Gruden is doing play-by-play. So that's the real breaking news. He wants to be a play-by-play guy. So
okay.
He's doing the local broadcast with Rondé. as a play-by-play announcer because Chris Myers is going to be on assignment for Fox that week. So
Okay,
that's
interesting.
That's watchable because
Yeah.
supposedly he was a communications or
Yes.
something in college.
Yep.
So he's like, I can do this, or I maybe
At the University of Dayton.
Dayton, yeah,
Yep.
Dayton. So
He was a flyer.
So I think that's the real story there. He's going to do play-by-play, which is, I think he can do it, but his delivery is sort of like he's John Wayne a little bit, and he talks a little bit like that. And
Yep.
I don't, can you get through a game and still 1st and 10? Because he sort of has that, that high energy or that strong energy, if you want to call it, in that particular case. But nonetheless, whatever it turns out to be, I think it'll be an interesting, kind of cool little scenario.
All right. I mentioned, I kind of teased, we got to talk about the 49ers a little bit. It came out yesterday.
Yeah, that's not good.
As they reported to camp that Kyle Shanahan apparently got in a very serious car accident July 14th. So they kept it quiet for 11 days. Among the injuries, broken nose, 3 broken ribs, and a broken hand, along with over 40 stitches to his face and a severe concussion. So is he in protocol? Yeah. So the 49ers, he's not going to do much in camp. I don't think it's that big a deal. The people that are upset are the media. And they're like, so this news has been a part of Open Record, and there's apparently people with the that cover the 49ers that knew this, and they kept it quiet. And they're mad at them. Have you ever been a beat reporter? You want to get ostracized? You go ahead and report that. You be the first one to report that, and that'll be the last story you report on for the 49ers. Come on.
Right.
Grow up.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, like I said, it's a shame that he did get injured. To me, it's a little peculiar that they didn't come out and say something because, my first thought when I heard that, Rich, was, okay, so why would we not want to say anything about this? Is there more to the story in the car?
Yes, and that's what a lot of people, yes.
Okay. Are we talking about, again, this is no way if I have, are we talking about a driving while under the influence scenario? Do we have something else? Okay. Who knows? You're never quite sure, the king of car wrecks, Tiger Woods, the first one he had, we're like, what happened? His wife stuck a golf club through the windshield, whatever's going on, he rolled it into whatever, you didn't hear all that story. That story evolved over weeks and days or whatever it may be. So,
yeah, but they knew immediately that he was driving under the influence of something because there was a police report. There's no police report here. So apparently it's just nothing more than an accident.
Well, that's what, no ill will, but I hope that's what it is. You know what I mean? That's the case,
right.
But it's just a kind of peculiar situation to see it. And I'm surprised that I know on the news cycle, sometimes the weekend, a story like that can kind of get lost a little bit. Reason to see if that comes out. I'll have my buds on tomorrow morning, and I'll see if there's some chatter about that, or who knows, but we'll see if that's the case.
All right. Let's move on to LeBron, and his decision is done, and apparently he's going to be in Philadelphia. News broke while we were doing our high school football preview on Friday morning that he was joining the 76ers. It's certainly not for the money. 2 years, $8 million with a 3rd-year option. I mean, he's obviously chasing another ring or two. It's not a 1-year deal either, John. It's a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option.
We do a media day, and LeBron takes over the gets the headlines. I'm like, come on, LeBron.
Exactly. All the kids are going up to the dance going, did you hear about LeBron? Did you hear about LeBron? I thought it was funny. Yep. I thought it was kind of funny in myself.
Story, no matter where he goes. If he went to Utah, it's a big story. It's a gigantic story that he goes to Philly. Because now we were sitting there going, okay, how are they going to play this now? They got 7 guys that want the ball. Embiid.
How many basketballs are there, John?
Yeah, there's one. And Embiid is a point center. He brings the ball up, and they play better when he's playing the point.
Yeah.
You got four or five guys who need the ball in their hand to do anything.
Yep.
How is this going to work? Now, I will say
It'll
if LeBron was being smart in this, Rich, which I'm assuming he was, he's like, I can only give you 28 minutes and be good. Maybe he's a guy that comes in and maybe he's averaging 16 and 10. Okay. I'm just saying, right? But late in the season, he's good for 40 because he's fresh. Yeah. He's not carrying a team because or he might be what's the what they call it when they take the night off. It's the whatever break they get.
Load management. Load management.
He might be load management. Yeah. He might get every Saturday and Sunday off. I don't know, but there's going to be something there. And I will say this too. If you want to be energized from either the negative or the positive side, no better place to be energized than Philly.
Yes.
Okay. Because they'll boo him. They booed Santa Claus, like they say. They'll boo
That's
LeBron
right.
in a second. And
LeBron Claus. Yeah.
And LeBron goes over there and it makes the East way better than the West. And the West was dominant last year. Like, oh, the West is going to be in charge. LeBron goes over. You got the Knicks, the Celtics making their move. You got the Sixers. You got the Cavaliers. You got Indiana coming back with Halliburton. You've got.
Yep.
I mean, you're going down to the 8, 9, and 10 teams are going to be good teams.
Yes,
they're going to be good teams.
Well, I don't to me, John, it brings back two rivalries: Sixers, Knicks, Sixers, Celtics. I think
right.
And Sixers Celtics has already been a rivalry because Jaylen Brown got traded to the Sixers. So the Sixers, since they beat the Celtics in 7 games in round 1, have gotten Jaylen Brown and LeBron James. And LeBron, I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron's the first guy off the bench guy.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think
that limits it.
I think he said, look, guys, I'm 42. All right.
Yeah.
I can give you LeBron at 27 for a certain amount of time a night, and I need some time off. So they probably said, great. Because what do they care? He's getting paid like a bench guy. He's $8 million a year. That's nothing.
He's on. It's minimum.
Yeah.
It's minimum. NBA minimum. Veteran minimum. Yep.
So I think I'm a critical of LeBron because it's a lot about LeBron, obviously. But to do this is a real commitment to the idea that he does want to win another championship. This is a legacy. This is him.
2.
This is him.
2. How many?
2. Right. Okay. He's going after Michael. This is his chance to say, well, no matter what you say, now it's not objective. If you look at him, it's subjective. Okay. Because I got the numbers. I'm the leading scorer in the NBA history. I got the chips. I'm good to go. So how are you going to deny me? I've been playing at a high level in my 40s,
which is unbelievable. Look, and he's chiseled, dude. He is chiseled.
Tom Brady is the GOAT, right? And as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He played for what? 23 years, 24 years?
Yep.
More,
23, because he played 20 in New England and 3 in Tampa.
6 championships, right? 6 championships.
7.
7 championships. We can all go back as historians and say the best quarterback I ever saw was Dan Marino. Okay. And he might have been from a talent perspective, but the resume, there's no difference. There's no difference.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Michael is going to say, people are going to say, well, he's Dan Marino. No, he's not. But now LeBron can say, here's my resume. Tell me your argument and don't tell it from a point of view that you're in love, you're romanticizing about Michael Jordan. Just look at the numbers and tell me who's the guy. And I'll leave it at that. And remember, I played my last game when I was 44 years old and I won a championship. Go ahead and tell me.
Yeah.
He's moving into Wilt. He's moving into Wilt numbers. And Wilt was the most physically imposing guy. But LeBron's is probably the second most. Well, I shouldn't say. Athletically, LeBron played like from his position that Wilt almost had the same athleticism because Wilt was a freak. That kind of thing.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, that lineup, Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, he needs the ball. BJ Edgecombe, as a rookie, he kind of acquiesced sometimes, but he's the kind of guy that needs the ball. So
yeah,
it's going to be a lot of fun in the East. I totally agree. I think the Knicks are the defending champs, but everybody's coming after them. Philadelphia is coming after them hard. Nothing makes, New York, Philadelphia. We're watching as we're podcasting, we're watching the Yankees and the Phillies play. New York, Philadelphia is good stuff.
Oh, they don't like each other.
Right. And when the two teams are good, it makes for good theater, good baseball.
With two New Yorkers on this podcast right now, we'll tell you why Philly and Boston don't like New York so much, because they're jealous. They wish they were in New York, but of course we don't like them. We don't want to.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. Where are we at here? 941 Sports Zone brought to you by Carroll GMC. Sales selection, experience what car buying should be. Who can make you drive with a smile? Well, Carroll can on the beautiful island of Venice. And we again welcome them aboard to the 941 Sports Zone as we head towards number 50 next week. John, can't believe it. We've
indeed
almost got a full year, and football's right around the corner. It's starting to get exciting for sure. All right, locks of the week. John, I'm going to propose something here. We're in a dead period. Yeah, listen, okay?
Yeah.
We'd almost have to fabricate something. And I don't think that's fair to the listeners, and I don't think it's fair to us.
Well,
really.
For me,
we had the World Cup that,
If I pick something, I'm just picking a random Wednesday night game that has no meaning after the All-Star break. So that to me, it's like, I think a break is in order, because if we really were putting our own trinkets on this, we wouldn't be betting on any game for that matter, or whatever.
Correct.
There would be nothing. You'd be like, what am I doing?
My account's frozen at the moment. I haven't done anything in a while.
I mean, the only thing I thought was that you've got the beginning of the FedEx Cup with the PGA next week. But
we've already talked about the FedEx Cup is garbage.
Yeah, why do I want to do that? And all it is positioning. It has nothing to do else with that. It's not like guys are trying to go out there. Scotty got a warm round in. That's great. So no, I don't see anything that's worth doing it. I think by the week after we'll be ready to start looking at some football stuff, and I'll go that route too. So
right,
we'll take a break, and I'm good with that.
And that's not just because the Phillies only had one win all week, and was against the Dodgers on Monday night when I took the Dodgers, and then you got basically weathered, if you will. It's the Red Sox took 2 out of 3 from the Orioles. You said the Orioles would take 2 out of 3. Now, I will say the first game, the Orioles had a comfortable lead and they let it go. But then once you get to a doubleheader, how many sweeps are there really in doubleheaders?
Well, and especially if you don't sweep on the road, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's getting one is an accomplishment in that situation. So
absolutely. So our records as it stands right now, you're 26-17. I'm 24-19, and we'll kind of freeze it here for a week or two, and then we'll get back on the horse again.
Gotcha.
I mean, we got plenty of things to look at as we get into later August, and college football is right around the corner. SEC Media Days. I didn't even put anything on here, and I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a runny nose right now. But I didn't put anything on here. But SEC Media Days was a circus. We talked a little bit about it last week with Greg Sankey. The breakaway, the talk about breaking away from college football. John, he can't be serious. He can't. There's no way. I mean, are you going to – the only thing that would be different then to now, we all follow the SEC, but it's within the context of college football. Would you follow the SEC just to follow the SEC?
Well, the thing about it is that I don't care what they say, all right? I don't care what they say. If you go that route, and let's say you wrangle in another 8 teams to join your 2014 breakaway situation, it doesn't matter. Okay, you've taken college football back to the 40s.
Yeah.
When nobody, let's go back to bowl games. That's what you've done. We're back to the bowl system. We're the SEC champion. We're going to put that banner up, which we do, which Florida does or Alabama does. That's a big deal within the SEC. But you're gonna have some faux national championship, or by the way, the other part of it is this: if I'm the Big 12 or the ACC and I'm the commissioner, I got Greg Sankey's number. I'm gonna come like, Greg, what are we doing here? I get there's this. Right. I'm not telling you how to run your business. I said, but if you really consider this as an option, then what have we been doing the last 7 or 8 years worrying about playoff systems and everything else. We've been who we've been lying to, ourselves or the public or both. It's a lie. So you're going to go ahead and do that. I think it makes him look. That's not a point of leverage. It's a point of stupidity. I don't think a fan base of any team's gonna be like, what? What's the Big Ten gonna say? Oh, forget it. No, I think it's dumb. I think it's dumb, and I think it's foolish to say something. You're gonna paint yourself in a corner. They're gonna say, "Do it." Then what are you gonna do? You're gonna be like, "Oh, I was only kidding," that kind of thing. No, and I will tell you this. Kids these days, we just talked to Andy, right? And we know kids these days are pretty savvy about stuff. If they're going to go to college, okay, and there's going to be some tournament out there that they're not going to be a part of, or the SEC is going to play their own tournament, play each other twice, or something stupid like that, kids are going to be like, "Is that really where you're going to go to?" If I'm a Florida guy going to Florida, and my buddy or a guy I played football with in high school is going to Miami, and he's playing in a national championship, and I'm going up to Oxford to play Mississippi for the second time, guess what? I'm like, that ain't no good. So they better watch themselves. If they, sometimes you get a little too cocky and then you find yourself in a big mess. And I would be retracting what I said, or at least explaining myself and saying, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Great. Then play devil's advocate.
All right. Final segment. It's what's bugging me. You want the lead off? You want me to go first?
You can go.
All right. Well, what's bugging me is
your runny nose is bugging you.
Well, my runny nose really is bugging me, but what's really bugging me is all the crap that went down on Friday. With Booker and with just finding out information. And we've been cooperating over the weekend what's fact and what's fiction. And one thing seems to be certain. Booker could care less about the kids. They could care less about the parents. They could care less about everything's about Booker. Let's save the program. Let's not worry about the kids. And I think that's we've went into territory, John, that I don't like. Again, this is high school football. And yes, I'm not naive to think that, just like you and Andy talked about, and we all talked about, it stuff that's happening in college within a year is trickling down to high school. Are there bags being exchanged? Probably. I'm not that stupid. But what went down, and whoever is complicit, I hope they find somebody and that person is done. Done. And it's not a person, it's going to be several people. I don't like the kids being used like that. And listen, the kids are using the program too. I'm not stupid, but fact of the matter is the parent or the administration holds all the chips. And they were trying to hold the chips until the 27th. So, and then they basically would tell the kids, well, you either play for us or you don't play.
Right.
And I think that's garbage. I'm sorry. I don't like it. And you can come on to the show. You want to come on and defend yourself, go right ahead.
There's no other way to put it that unless either you were totally unqualified to making decisions for the football team or for the athletic department, whatever it may be, or you did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Or you were playing a game with the careers and or
lives
of kids.
Yep.
Because you thought that you could somehow keep it together because you wanted to fire your coach, and you realized if you did, because he's probably a very popular guy, that if he left, doesn't matter who's left behind, they're going too. Okay, whatever it was. So you hung around and hung around and hung around and hung around, and finally somebody said something that had validity to it, right? A mom of a player, okay, says something, and now it has to be addressed. Now it's too big to control. And what do? You make a decision like that. Okay. In my case, I don't know. I really don't know what Coach Woods did to lose his job. I don't know.
I don't either. I don't either. But that's not the point here.
Fired in April, he should have been fired in April. Okay.
Correct.
And so you held on to him long enough, and he was good enough to hang around through all the workouts, through everything else, but not good enough to play the games. I don't get that.
Right.
Okay. So there's nothing you can do. And I will tell you this. on-campus administration, as far as I'm concerned, could not have been making these decisions on their own. Okay. Now that might be somebody like, what are you talking? What are you accusing them of? No, there's people that would say certain things and do certain things and say, let's just do this and keep it a low profile because it's not going to get out there. You have parents. I was a Booster Club president for 5.5 years. Okay. The most powerful weapon as a Booster Club president you have is the parent.
Yeah.
Because the parent can call up people and say, what are you doing? Tell me what your decision is. My kid should not be going through a locker room with black mold in it, or he shouldn't be doing this or shouldn't be doing that. And guess what? That same parent could turn around and go right to Andy, you, me,
Xavier.
Emma Moon from the Tribune, who did a great job the other day. Vinny Portel, you name them all. They could go to them and say, I got a story for you. And then they'd be fully in their right to do that because it's media, right? They have the right to do that. So whoever thought this was going to be put through a little bit, man, you didn't care about those kids, and you sure as hell didn't care about, what was going on, as far as what everybody else thought. You thought, well, it's going to happen the way we're going to have it happen. I don't have names on people, but there's no way if there was no administrative control, it's every point you can make, it's worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. All right. I'm done.
All right, cool. I'm gonna give one quick one, and then I'm gonna give one that's also pertains back to our media day. I've been trying to avoid this, Rich, talking about this. I don't watch the WNBA. I really don't. It's sad. It's a sad situation. Everything is just a total mess. They're finding out now the commissioner is useless. Sorry. Okay. And they're she's gone at the end of the year. That rumor's already put out there. They told to so and so and so and so. Everything is a mess. I know that they everybody played nice and held hands at this All-Star game, but when you've got a former president of the United States and Barack Obama having to walk up to Caitlin Clark and put his arm around her and say, "Hey, hang in there, it'll be okay," because why? Because she's popular, and because the players there aren't fans going after her. There are players going after her, and
on the court,
right? And in some ways, I got to think the WNBA hierarchy is against her in some way. They didn't put out her shoe till just like a couple weeks ago, and she was the hottest. They could have showed. Why would they not put shoes out there? What did she do except shoot logo threes? That's what it is. It's not because she's a runway model or she can dunk or she's mouthy. I mean, she's a little mouthy on the court, but I think she plays the game like it probably should be played. I mean, Larry Bird, if you want to compare to somebody, he was mouthy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, very mouthy. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of mouthy guys out there. You know what I'm saying? So that's really why she should get a punch to the throat, or nobody should do whatever they're doing. Or that's how you learn your lesson. Come on. Even back in the day when the Knicks were fouling on every 30 seconds and nobody get a layup, they weren't punching people in the throat. So it's right. like this. You're going to get away with that. Why? Why are you getting away with that? I don't know. So it's a mess, and they got to get it right because the window's only about this open, Rich, for them to be a sustainable scenario where there's money to be made and they can possibly move on, because eventually they'll be on the Ocho, which I like to say, but they'll be on the Ocho as next to axe throwing, and they now have a game on the Ocho where you throw a football on a roof and it rolls off and you have to try to catch it. I did that when I was 7. Now there's a league. I didn't know that. I was prepping for I missed my mark. I could have been a pro athlete by throwing a football on a roof and having it roll awkwardly off the roof, and I can catch it. Who knows? But one more thing, Rich. Okay, so our media day went very well. I thought that you and Xavier McKnight did a phenomenal job on air. But Vibrant Aspect Media, we've been working with them for a long time. They're young guys.
Yes, they are.
They're young guys.
My daughter's age. My daughter knows them.
They run a business. They do a great job with it. Okay, but they promote their business. Okay, with their product. And no more of a better product to do is put a great program together for this media days. I think the coaches love it. I think that the players get a kick out of it. I mean,
Oh, I know they do. Did you see Palmetto after they were on? We had a TV there where it was on a slight delay, and they were rewinding and showing everybody making. It was great. They were chopping it up while eating some pizza. It was fantastic.
Right. I agree. And the thing about it, Rich, is that, and I'll say something, I've never hidden the fact that I do work for Venice High School. I work with the football team. I don't have a job, a paying job, but I do live streaming. I've done different things, and I've done media with you that was not media with Venice. It's just I live here. Okay, I live here with Venice High School. But when I do the media day or I do anything in regards to high school football, I am as fair as anybody could possibly be, as far as I'm concerned. I ask everybody. I don't make concessions for this or whatever. I try to make sure that everybody feels as welcome as they possibly can feel. I think I get the vibe back that they understand that, and I do appreciate them traveling some long distance to be there. Okay, but ultimately, it's about the kids and it's about the coaches and everything else. Well, we had an incident, or you had a situation where Vibrant Aspect took a clip out on what a comment that Coach Peacock had made regarding scheduling. Okay. And by the way, I didn't see or hear it. I had no idea what was going on. I'm greeting people at the door and everything else. And a couple of hours later, I was like, sort of came a light to me that, well, this thing had gone viral and it was blowing up. And, it was a big deal for Vibrant Aspect because they're getting 5,700 people to look at their product that they made. And these kids, that was dragging people to watch the actual media day broadcast, the live stream, up to the tune of over almost 3,000 plus now. And as far as people watching a 7-hour, by the way, podcast, right?
Right.
I got a call during that situation from a local AD, and concerned that he didn't like the fact that this was being put out there about what Coach Peacock had said about his school and everything else. And I took it seriously. I took it very sincerely, and I was like, I felt like, yeah, it was probably right that maybe I shouldn't promote something that might hurt somebody's feelings and sort of divert things to a different direction. So I asked those boys to take down that clip. Now, mind you, I understand that it's out there in the real world. There's nothing you can do about it, but I did it in good faith because I don't want anybody to feel like they're not welcome or that there's somebody going against them. The rivalries around the 941 area code are great. Okay. Sometimes they burn super hot. Sometimes everybody's kumbaya eating each other. I know that I've been around where I've seen visiting coaches that are out of the playoffs to come to watch playoff games. See it all the time. Okay. Port Charlotte, it was great. Going down to the game down there and seeing Coach Ingman and seeing his environment down there. I enjoyed it. I had a great time doing live streaming. So I really kind of make it where I feel as though what I'm doing is to as fair as I can be. If you're gonna cut me open, I'm gonna bling green. Okay, I get that, but I'll never try to play favoritism when it comes to the kids or anything else. Never gonna happen. Well, I was asked, and I said I'll take that down. And the response from the AD was, well, if it was up to me and he was my coach, I would fire him because my people don't behave that way and don't talk about other people. Well, what happens after I do this? An hour and a half or 2 hours later, there's a post from said coach of who the AD talked about, who's making things personal. Okay. Not so much towards me, but back towards the other coach. And so at that point, I felt hoodwinked. I felt like I deserve an apology, because if you're going to go after the guys who are trying to make a living and trying to promote their product, and I asked them to take it down, maybe it cost them somebody seeing something that could have gotten a chance. Now you're telling me that you would have fired a coach, but because of what he said, but now you're going to let your coach come out and take personal attacks on the coach who said that. I'm not about that. That's not fair. Okay. I deserve an apology now because I did what I did in good faith. And an hour after I did what I did in good faith and made sure it was taken care of and kept it to myself because I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Now it's on public. Now this is what happens. And it's all about what this happened. I'm not cool with that, and I'm not cool with it if it would have been anybody else who said something that, and I took it down. It's not about Venice. It's not about that. It's about with that a team felt slighted or felt like they didn't get the fair shake, and I made sure I made it better. And then it turned around and they dive in the deep end and do the exact opposite of what they wanted me to do. Okay, right. That's false. That's a false narrative, and I will tell you that because I won't. Next time I get a phone call, I'm not going to believe anything that person says. Okay, you got your way, and then you went on and I was a fool. Like I'm foolish. I'm not foolish. I don't do things haphazardly. I take it seriously. So I think that's what I like to get across. I want an apology now. So I can apologize because I'm going to apologize to my guys at Vibrant Aspect Media for making them take down a clip that now was all over the place. Okay, I didn't script anything. I gave everybody the opportunity to talk about their team, their schedule, whatever they wanted to talk about. I don't edit them out. They can do whatever they want. But when I get told that something's going to happen and it doesn't happen, or I shouldn't say that I'm going to take care of something, and you give me all this bravado, and then you turn around and let something like that happen afterwards, I'm not about it. So I know that's probably a deep dig into something that I would never have brought up, but it really hurt my feelings to know what I did to accommodate somebody and have them come out and within 90 minutes of that do exactly what you said you would have fired. So I guess there should be a firing coming up in the high school ranks in the 941 based on what I was told on Friday afternoon.
I got nothing to add there. I think you said it as good as you could say it.
Yeah, because I mean,
and I think that's. I think we're going to close the show with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it for this edition of the 941 Sports Zone. It was fine. I love doing the 941 Sports Zone in the 941. This was a lot of fun, and we look forward to. Look forward, I guess, is not the correct terminology, but I'll be heading back to Boston this week, and
you got Monday night off.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I won't have to rush for wings or anything like that. So
and we got our first game of the week that we figured out. Welland Park and
that's right.
Northport.
Welland Park, yeah. Northport on August 14th. So look forward to that. All right, John, appreciate it. Again, thank you very much to Andy Villamarzo from on3rivals.com for joining us, for giving us some great insight on the high school football, and we'll look forward to talking to him in future podcasts. I think we're going to start getting a little guest heavy. I know you and I talked about this a little bit. As we start getting into the season, we've got some people we're going to bring back that we've had on before that have contributed tremendously to the show. And I'm definitely looking forward to the 941 game of the week. I think that's what we should call it. It's starting with the Kickoff Classic on the 14th and just moving right along week after week. We'll have a lot of fun with that. John, enjoy your week. Hopefully it cools off a little bit down here. It will probably late October, early November.
I'll just say this to you. It's when August 1st hits, we're halfway through the summer. So I made it to the summit. Now I got to go back down and
right.
And so it's good. It's good. I'll bear with it.
Next week is episode 50. We're looking forward to it. For John, I'm Spitz. We're out of here. Until next week. So long, everybody.